Hello friends, I am Dr. Vivek Jain, Faculty of Preventive and Social Medicine, that is Community Medicine, and author of the books Review of Preventive and Social Medicine, Exam Preparatory Manual for Undergraduates, and PSM for FMG. Friends, today's academic session will be based on cohort study. What I had done was, I had invited queries from students across all the social media platforms, and while selecting queries, I've made sure that the common questions asked have been picked up for this session. So we'll go through all those questions one by one in detail, and I'll try to explain the important facets about cohort study. So let us start with first query. This is Dr. Akash from Chandigarh who asked, Sir, how do we undertake a retrospective cohort study? Now, friends, to understand the design of retrospective cohort study, first you should understand what is the need of a retrospective cohort study. See, all of us know there are two major type of analytical study designs in epidemiology, that is cohort study and case control study. So let's try to understand them one by one. Then we will come back to how do we conduct or undertake the design of a retrospective cohort study. So let's first try to understand. Suppose we have to establish an association between a proposed exposure and an expected outcome. Then we can do it in two different ways. What is the first way? We start with exposure, then we go in a forward direction till the outcome occurs. To make it more clear, take an example. We are currently in the year 2020 and I want to see an association if it exists between smoking as an exposure and lung cancer as the outcome. So I take smokers today in my city. How do I take? Easily I will find smokers in adult population. So suppose I select 100 smokers. If someone starts smoking today, will he develop lung cancer tomorrow? No. So my scientific knowledge tells me that cancers require generally 10 to 20 years of exposure. So let me wait for 15 years in my same study group in the same city. So after 15 years, in 2035, when I go forward from 2020 to 35, I will see how much outcome occur, how many of these smokers develop lung cancer. If a large number of smokers develop lung cancer, smoking could be a possible risk factor for lung cancer. This study design, which is forward looking in nature, why forward looking? I am starting today in 2020 with exposure, then I'm going in forward direction till 2035 till the outcome occurs, is known as prospective cohort study. Prospective means forward, cause to effect. Now, this is a very good study design. Why? You can calculate relative risk, one of the major strengths of association, and this is highly accurate measure of strength of association. Now, this prospective cohort study is a very good study design to estimate association between cause and effect. But friends, you tell me by looking at the scheme, what is the major limitation of a prospective cohort study? Yes, time. If I ask you, suppose, please do a cohort study, you will think in your mind, oh, I will now have to wait for 15 years for my result. Now, 15 years is a very long time. Although this may be a slightly more accurate study, but suppose I don't have 15 years with me. So what I will do is, I will try to do a study in a exactly opposite direction, which will help me save my time. How that is possible? Let's again look at the screen. Now, again, I have to establish a association between exposure and outcome. But what I will do is, I will now start with outcome first and go in a backward direction towards exposure. How this is possible? We are in the year 2020. So I will start my study with lung cancer as an outcome. How will I start with lung cancer? Very easy. I go to any cancer hospital in my city. Easily I will find 100 people who are having lung cancer. So now I can start my study with this people who have already developed the disease. Now I go in a backward direction and check for presence of exposure 15 years back. How I can check? This is by simply asking the history. So if you see very carefully, we are starting this study today with disease lung cancer. Then I am going backward in time 15 years to check for presence of exposure or the risk factor, that is smoking. This backward looking study is known as, or retrospective design is known as, case control study. Now, case control study, if you see, will be very fast. Why? I am taking lung cancers today. Then I'm going backward in time and asking history of smoking or the risk factor. History I can ask very fast. I don't have to waste 15 years of my life just like cohort study. So in this backward looking case control study, you cannot calculate relative risk. What is the strength of association you can calculate? That is odds ratio. Now if you compare cohort and case control study, cohort study gives you relative risk, which is more accurate. Case control study gives you odds ratio, which is slightly less accurate due to recall bias. But at least the study is faster. So both studies have their own advantage, disadvantage. Cohort study, more accurate, time consuming. Case control study, less accurate results but faster. Now suppose I want to combine both the designs. I want accuracy also. I want my study to be done faster also. That is known as, this is where the need comes for retrospective cohort study. Friends, for your exam, you have to understand the design of retrospective cohort study, how exactly it is undertaken. So let's try to understand the design of retrospective cohort study, the exact question asked in detail. Friends, suppose we have to establish an association between exposure, smoking and outcome lung cancer. I cannot go in forward direction from smoking to lung cancer. That will lead to 15 years time. I cannot go backward from outcome to exposure lung cancer to smoking by asking history. That will lead to recall bias, less accurate odds ratio. So I cannot go forward, I cannot go backward. So what I will do? I will do a design in a slightly different way. How? We are in the year 2020. So what I do? I do not look at lung cancer in 2020 right now. What I do? First I go back in time 15 years and find out exposure of smoking in 2005. How can I ask? Can I ask history? No. If I ask history, it will become case control study, recall bias, less accurate odds ratio. So what I do, I first find out exposure of the year 2005 from hospital or university reports. Any patient comes to your hospital, you have a case sheet. You ask, are you a smoker? Are you alcoholic? Do you have a diabetes history? Do you have a family history? So from 2005 hospital or medical college records, I can find out 100 smokers. Now I trace them wherever they are located in India or anywhere, and I ask them, have you developed lung cancer in last 15 years? If you see very carefully, through this design, I am going in a forward direction from exposure to outcome. So this forward looking study design is known as retrospective cohort study. So friends, try to understand the design. I'll again summarize. First I go back 15 years, find out exposed and non-exposed people by looking at hospital or medical college records or university records. And among those exposed and non-exposed people, now I come in the front time, that is till today, and find out how many of them have developed the disease. This way, I am not wasting 15 years of my life. So it is a very fast study. Plus, I am still going from exposure to outcome in a forward direction. So this is also a type of cohort study, and I am able to calculate relative risk, which is a very much more accurate measure of strength of association as compared to odds ratio. So friends, the advantage of this particular study design is highly accurate relative risk as a strength of association I can calculate. Plus, it will not lead to wastage of 15 years for me. So this study design, where we first go backward towards exposure, then we come forward towards outcome. That is known as retrospective cohort study, which is much better than a prospective cohort study design. Let us move forward. Another query, this was asked by Dr. Arjav Shah from Baroda, Gujarat. The question was, sir, what is a TROHOC study? So friends, let's try to look at this. Now friends, if you look at the word cohort and if you look at the word TROHOC on your screen carefully, can you find something similar or dissimilar between them? Yes, TROHOC word appears to be exactly opposite of the word cohort. So cohort study, we have already discussed, is a study in forward direction. Exactly opposite of that in direction is TROHOC study. So we can say TROHOC study is another name of, yes, case control study. So if you find somewhere a question, what is the strength of association in a TROHOC study, friends, do not get confused. They are actually talking of case control study. TROHOC study is an acceptable word in epidemiology. Dr. Sumit Kumar from KGMC Lucknow has asked this question. Sir, I am unable to understand the difference between attributable risk and population attributable risk. Friends, cohort study, we can estimate three strengths of association. These are relative risk, attributable risk, population attributable risk. So let's try to understand that. If you have seen my video lecture on my PrepLadder mobile app, then I will try to take an example in its continuation, but even those students who have not seen the lecture will understand it. So let us see. Friends, what is RR or relative risk? When you do a cohort study, first strength of association you can calculate is relative risk. What is the formula? Incidence in exposed divided by incidence in non-exposed. And what is the meaning? How many times disease is more common in exposed as compared to non-exposed? Suppose we look at an example like smoking as an exposure or risk factor, lung cancer as an outcome or the disease. So suppose relative risk in your study by the formula comes 8. What does it imply? Smoking has 8 times more association with lung cancer as compared to non-smokers. Or I can say incidence of lung cancer in smokers is 8 times higher as compared to incidence of lung cancer in non-smokers. Or I can say smoking has 8 times higher risk of lung cancer as compared to non-smokers. Now looking at second strength of association, AR. What is AR? AR is attributable risk. What is the meaning of attributable risk? As the word is telling you, how much of the disease can be attributed to risk factor in the study? How much of the lung cancer can be attributed to smoking? So friends, suppose in the same example, attributable risk when you calculate by the formula comes 88%. What is the formula of attributable risk? Incidence in exposed minus incidence in non-exposed divided by incidence in exposed into 100. Suppose that answer comes 88%. Now what is your interpretation of this 88%? 88% of disease can be attributed to risk factor. 88% of lung cancer can be attributed to smoking. So if I find 100 lung cancer in my city today, I can safely say out of these 100 lung cancer, 88 must have got it through smoking as a risk factor. What about other 12? I don't know. It may be related to some other risk factor which I am not studying. It could be air pollution. It could be exposure to nickel, arsenic, chromium or any other risk factor. Friends, third strength of association in a cohort study you can calculate is PAR, population attributable risk, which is given by the formula incidence in total minus incidence in non-exposed upon incidence in total into 100. Now suppose this comes 77%. Now friends, what is the meaning of population attributable risk? If the risk factor under study is modified or eliminated, how much annual reduction of incidence of disease will occur in the population? Friends, you have to understand and remember interpretation of population attributable risk very carefully. This is asked in your exams. So let me repeat it again. If I modify or eliminate the risk factor, how much annual reduction of incidence of disease will occur in the population? So let's take this example. Attributable risk in a cohort study between smoking and lung cancer came 77%. It implies, if I modify or eliminate smoking from my city population, then there will be an annual reduction in incidence of lung cancer by 77% every year. So new cases, 77% of lung cancer will decrease every year. But it will have no effect on other 23%. Why? Because I am not controlling the other risk factors besides smoking. So I'll again repeat, relative risk. Smokers have 8 times higher chance of lung cancer as compared to non-smokers. Attributable risk in the same study 88%. 88% of the lung cancer can be attributed to smoking. Population attributable risk 77%. If I modify or eliminate smoking from this population, there will be a 77% annual reduction in incidence of lung cancer in the same population. Dr. Shrikant A. Osmania Medical College, Hyderabad. He has asked, sir, what is an MB-spective study? Friends, as such, we don't use this term very commonly in epidemiology, but definitely this is an acceptable term. It appeared also as a choice in one of the AIMS exam questions earlier. So let us try to understand what is an MB-spective study. Now friends, if you see, we have discussed retrospective cohort study. We have discussed prospective cohort study. MB-spective, MB means both. Actually, a combination of both is known as ambidextrous cohort study. Now, how it is undertaken, the design you have to understand. Let us see. See, friends, suppose I know retrospective cohort study is better than prospective cohort study because it will save my 15 years, plus it will give me more accurate relative risk. So, I am going to undertake a retrospective cohort study design. So, what I will do, we are in 2020, but what I do, first I go back to the year 2005, find out smokers, non-smokers from hospital records, and then I come in forward direction till today's time and I look at outcome lung cancer. This is a retrospective cohort study. So my study is completed, my results are there. Now suppose another investigator comes and says you're already having data of exposure and outcome from 2005 to 20 through a retrospective cohort study. Give me that data. I will take your study forward for another 10 or 15 years to see further change in outcome. Will lung cancer remain same or will it increase further? This combination of both study designs is known as ambidextrous study. Why? If you see carefully, first there was a retrospective cohort study of 15 years, 2005 to 2020. Now someone has added a prospective component of 10 years in that, 2020 to 30. Retrospective plus prospective. This is ambidextrous cohort study. So friends, if you look at the design, when you look at the time of point of starting the observations, first you go retrospectively, find out smokers, non-smokers from hospital record, come to current time, look at the outcome lung cancer, that will complete your retrospective cohort study. Now take it further forward for another 10-15 years to see further increase of lung cancer in the same exposed non-exposed group. A prospective component has been added. This is known as ambidextrous cohort study. We move forward. Another query. Dr. Deepak Kumar, Jodhpur, Rajasthan has asked, Sir, cohort study is used for rare diseases or rare exposure. Friends, it's a very simple thing, but as a student, sometimes we get confused. So let me make it more clear to you. Now, friends, can you do cohort study for a rare disease? No, it is not possible. Why I'm saying like this? Suppose you take 100 smokers, 100 non-smokers in 2020 today. You go forward for 15 years till 2030. Now suppose lung cancer is very rare in smokers. One lung cancer occurs in a million smokers. Now we have only taken 100 smokers. So we will keep on waiting for 15 years, keep on applying diagnostic tests. But because the disease is rare, it will not at all occur. Wastage of time, wastage of money, wastage of resources for 15 years. Cohort study should not be taken, should never be undertaken for a rare disease in question. So what should be done? We should rather undertake a case control study for a rare disease. Why? Suppose you have a rare disease in our country where there will only 50 cases of that disease. Take those 50 cases. Take controls for that. Equal number of cases or best is 4 times the controls, 200 controls. Now you take 50 cases, 200 controls. You have cases and controls ready, matter ready for a case control study. Now you go backward in time and ask history of risk factor in both the groups. When you ask a history of suspected risk factors in both the groups, and then try to make a table 2 by 2 and calculate odds ratio strength of association. If any risk factor shows a strength of association odds ratio more than 1, it is likely to be a possible risk factor for this rare disease. Cohort study is exactly opposite of this. Rare exposures could be studied in a cohort study when you are following up in time among exposed and non-exposed group. If there is a rare exposure and a disease is found, then individually relative risk could be calculated for that particular exposure. Friends, finally we come to last important question for today's session. This was asked by Dr. Tripti from Mumbai. She has asked, sir, what are the famous cohort studies that we should know as a student for our forthcoming exams? Dr. Tripti, this is a very good question. See, all of us know one famous cohort study which is asked in extensive detail. What is that? Very right. That is Framingham Heart Study, where risk factors for coronary heart disease was evaluated. This cohort study you should know in extensive detail. age group 30 to 62 years, total sample size above 4400 on which following the study was undertaken, and risk factors like sedentary lifestyle, hypertension, diabetes mellitus, whether they are known risk factors for coronary heart disease or not, was evaluated in this prospective cohort study. Now, besides Framingham Heart Study, what other studies you should definitely know include Nurses Health Study, which was undertaken for finding out the risk factors of major chronic diseases among women. Doll and Hill Study, which was undertaken for the classical example smoking as a risk factor, lung cancer as an outcome. RCGP, Royal College of General Physicians, London, oral contraceptive pills and health study, where OCP was taken as a risk factor, and we looked at illness, pregnancies, and death among the participants to see the outcome. SRS Million Death Study of India, sample registration system. This was used to find out causes of deaths in India. Now friends, these famous cohort studies could be asked as a all except question. You should be able to figure. Friends, if you have any comment, query, suggestion, you can write in the comment box below. I will try to address your query related to cohort study. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dr. Vivek Jain. I will keep on posting regular videos of updates, academic sessions, as well as exam discussions and questions. Besides YouTube, you can also connect with me on various social media platforms. You can connect to me through my mobile application Dr. Vivek Jain PSM or through my website drvivekjainpsm.com. You can also email me if you have any query at docvivekjain@gmail.com. You can also share any concern query on my WhatsApp number. For regular updates on Facebook, you can like my Facebook page, Dr. Vivek Jain PSM Updates. Similarly, on Telegram, Dr. Vivek Jain PSM, you can join. Instagram, I have one personal ID, Doc Vivek Jain. If you love photography, travel, please feel free to join me. Or for any academic query, I have got an Instagram account, Vivek Jain PSM. Please join me. Friends, you can download PSM by Dr. Vivek Jain, video lecture based mobile app from Android or for iOS platform. Friends, I thank you and I wish you all the best in your forthcoming examinations.